This is part one of my story of identity theft, how I became a victim, and how I became aware of this identity theft. For a very long time, I stayed quiet about the whole situation. I tried to handle it civilly. I tried to be cordial with everyone involved in the situation or that I came across during the situation. I tried to handle it legally as well and take all the steps and protocols that I was given during this whole situation. People only see bits and pieces of what was posted and try to piece everything together, not knowing the full in-depth situation. Well, now it's time I stop hiding and share my story. This is part two to my story time with identity theft, and I'm going to say this as humbly and disrespectfully as I can. This has impacted my life drastically. It has affected my health. It has impacted my family. It has caused me to be harassed, investigated, disrespected, treated as if I was some kind of suspect. I was offered little to no help until I met with the representative from the IRS tax preparation on September 1st, 2021. I had to start speaking up for myself, being my own voice, learning how to become my own lawyer, learning how to become my own PI. I had to do all the paperwork and footwork myself. So this is part three of my story time with identity theft. This has been one of the most craziest things I ever had to deal with in life. There was a lot of things that I didn't know that I had to learn along the way in this journey. While proving my innocence, I was dealing with battling severe chronic health conditions along with physical health conditions and mental health conditions as well, while having two miscarriages and also burying my dad while getting disrespected by his side of the family, but that's another story in itself. While finding out that the man that I have been married to for the last 11 years have been cheating on me throughout our marriage. So, if y'all have been following my story time, this is part four of identity theft. At the present moment, there is no NDA, but eventually, I believe once all these videos are fully out there, there will be one because of all the individuals and agencies that is involved with this story. Many of y'all know me by Malay Amore, aka Malay Fantasies, but my legal name is Yamale Cologne. And keep that in mind because it has a lot to do with this. So, this is part five of my story with identity theft. We're going to start with how I know this company and these people involved. I don't know anyone involved besides Diane Ebar Dow and the locations Children Garden 1 Inc. because I used to work for this lady back in June to September of 2008. I started off as an intern at her Children's 5 location. Later moved on to the Children's Garden 1 location in Darby. Was moved up to a teacher's aide. This is part 6 of my story with identity theft. As I stated in the previous video, I was later moved on to a teacher's aide. I could not move up to the teacher's position because I was still, at the present time, working on establishing getting my high school diploma / GED. I later on quit the job due to personal reasons with management and haven't looked back since. When I say I will never work for a person, a company, or any type of establishment of that sort that involve these people or anything that has anything to do with that name attached to it, I would never work for in life. This is part 7 with my story with identity theft. In this part, I want to state that I have been deemed permanently disabled from a primary care physician as of November 17th, 2009. Keep that information in mind because it's going to be very important later on in this story. Let's fast forward to 2018, November. My health took a drastic turn for the worse as to where I needed home care services, which is an aid that comes out and helps me with daily life activities and things of that nature. Please keep in mind that I am on a long-term waiver from the state. This is part 8 of my identity theft. So basically what the long-term waiver program is stating that a doctor deemed me disabled enough to receive long-term care with an aid provided, which because of my disabilities, the state funds my medical. Also, while I'm still in the process of an appeal for fighting for my Social Security benefits. But I was already receiving Social Security benefits for my daughter due to her disabilities. And as people know, you have to report any source of income other than Social Security to Social Security. So this is part 9 of my story with identity theft. We're going to jump back a little bit because I did miss one more important detail. In 2014, I pled guilty, and my charges consist of a felony and a misdemeanor, which in the state of Pennsylvania, that prohibits you from working at any facility that has any children. Of course, I used to work for this lady back in 2008, so I know for a fact that there are 3 criminal backgrounds that you have to pass in order to work at that daycare facility. This is part 10 to my identity theft story. So in November of 2019, I received a letter from the county assistant's office asking for proof of employment for the job named Children's Garden 1 Inc. Now, again, I haven't worked for this child care facility since September of 2008. So I was a little confused that the county assistant's office will be asking me for a job that I haven't worked for in such a long time. Now, I go up to the county assistant's office to try to figure out what is going on and why was they requesting this type of document from me. This is part 11 of my story time with identity theft. So I finally go up there and I talk to a representative and basically asked what was going on. And they stated that basically I was in the system as a new hire as of October 8th of 2019, I believe. And I'm telling them, well, I haven't worked for this company since September of 2008, so I don't know how is that. And on that day, I was in the hospital having a procedure done. So that's impossible that I could be in two places at once, especially with me being under anesthesia. It's no way in hell. This is part 12 of my story with identity theft. So basically, they're looking at me like I'm crazy and I'm lying. So they basically stated in simple roundabout words, if I didn't work for this company, that I would have to go up to the employer and request a letter verifying that I don't work for this company, and as of when I haven't worked for this company. So now I'm fuming, because not only do I feel like you're calling me a liar, you're also insulting my character. So I go up to the daycare, I would say about November 5th or 6th. And I'm going to say a lady by the name Miss M. We're going to call her that for safety purposes. This is part 13 with my storyline with identity theft. So Miss M answers the door and asks who I was. I basically explained to her who I was and why I was there, and that I needed a letter verifying that I did not work for them, because the county assistant's office is saying that I work for them. So she finally calls Diane, explains with her what happens. I sit down with the site director at that time, which is Miss J. And me and Miss J start talking, and Miss J finally writes my letter, and I go on my business. So now that I have this letter, me and my estranged husband went up to the county assistant's office together. This is part 14 of my storyline with identity theft. Like I stated in the previous part, my estranged husband and myself went up to the county assistant's office because I can't travel by myself, so I'm always to have someone travel with me. And he was that person at that time. So I'm talking to the CCU worker to drop off the paperwork, and he's making copies at the copy machine for me. He walks over and he says something to me, or said something to the worker. Either which way, she asks him who he is, and he replies to her husband. So now it went from me having to prove that I don't work for this job to now having to prove that my estranged husband does not live in my household. This is part 15 with my story from identity theft. So now my benefits get terminated and I get placed under investigation, and they send a OIG or a AIG officer, I don't know which one off the top of my head, to my house to investigate to see if my estranged husband lived in my household or not. In the meantime, they were placing me under investigation, but wasn't putting this lady or this facility under investigation on why my name and my social security number was popping up as a present employee when I did not work for her. This is part 16 with my story of identity theft. So now I'm starting to feel like I'm being harassed and I'm being placed under false investigation because I have already proven to y'all that I do not work for this job. So now that I proved that to y'all, now y'all gonna turn it around and say someone lives in my household that does not live in my household. So now, turn around, that gets fixed, and I dropped my complaint because my benefits were reinstated, and I went on about my business because, again, I don't want no problems. I just want to live my life and, enjoy the life I do have to the best of my capabilities, before my medical conditions fully take a turn for the worse. So this is part 17 to my story with identity theft. I'm thinking everything fine, everything got fixed, everything's about to go back to normal, my life, you know. Oh no, oh no, there's more. In June, I received a letter now from the Social Security office stating that my daughter benefits could be affected because her parent, which is me, received an amount close to 4,400 for the time period of 2020. Yeah, now it's getting deeper. And on top of that, I received another letter from the county assistance office. This is part 18 to my story with identity theft. As I stated previously, I received another letter from the county assistance office, now asking me for proof of employment once again and wages this time around. So now I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on now? Like, what the fuck? Like, is they picking with me now? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, so I go up to the county assistance office again, and now they already side-eye me from what happened with the first go-around. So now they're like, well, if you keep stating it's not you working there, have you filed a police report? It doesn't work like that. That just by saying it's a mistake on paperwork, they have to be using your social. So if you're saying you're not working at this job, then something else is going on. This is part 19 with my story with identity theft. So we're still going back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. Like, somebody need to get to the bottom of this because it's not me. So now I go back up to this daycare. Again, in the summertime, having to wear all these damn braces on my arms, my legs, and my knees. Walking with a cane, hot as hell, heavy as hell, fucking equipment, insulin pump, on medication. The heat is messing with me. And I gotta keep dealing with this bullshit. Once again. This is part 20 with my story with identity theft. So now I'm back up at this daycare again. And Miss M greets me again. So now I explain to her the situation again. I show her the paperwork of what's going on. Now there's a new site director, another clueless individual that does not know what is going on. We're going to call her Miss S. Okay, so now I'm talking to Miss S. Miss S gets on the phone with Diane. Now, magically, it's a problem now of giving me a second letter verifying of me not working at this daycare. And I'm not understanding what the issue is. Now it's, oh, I'll have the letter within a week. I'll send it to your email. I'll contact you later on. This is part 21 of my story with identity theft. Now, later on that day, Diane herself calls me off, I believe her office phone or her personal cell phone number. And she asked me, well, what is going on? And I explained to her what's going on. She laughed, So an employee that worked for me basically over 12 years ago, and they're saying that, oh, you work for me? I said, yes, they stated that I work for you. And it's in black and white, so I don't understand what is the problem with you giving me another letter. Because it's for a different time period now. It's not the same, so that other letter is not no good no more. Because now it looks like I'm working at your facility once again. So, oh, I'll have the email verifying within a couple hours. Never received it. This is part 21 of my story with identity theft. So now, my spidey senses is tingling. They're going the hell off right now. Every alarm in my brain is going the fuck off. My ancestors is punching me in my brain right now. The first time that happened to me, I believed her and believed that it was a paperwork mistake with HR. But oh no, baby. Oh no, baby. This happened again, and now they're saying that I'm earning income that I'm not earning. Oh no, baby. This ain't no coincidence here. So I did what I needed to do and filed a police report. Then I followed up with a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission for identity theft. This is part 23 of my story with identity theft. Now, Miss M gets on the phone with Diane all over again. Okay. And the site director also leaves the room and gets on the phone with Diane as well. So Miss M comes back in the room and explains to me that Diane felt as though the first letter should have sufficed because she already provided one. And like I explained to Miss Diane, I also explained to Miss M that that letter did not suffice anymore because now it's a present date and it's looking like I work here at this present moment. That other paper only covered that other date, but after this BS, now it's saying I work here again, and that letter is no longer good enough. So somebody better clear something up or we're going to have a problem because this is not going to go away this easily this time around. This is part 24 with my story of identity theft. Now I'm going all around with a chicken with my head cut off, calling the IRS, checking up on my status of my police report, which was later forwarded to the Southwest Detectives of Philadelphia. I was being ping-ponged all over, basically. Like, I contacted the commissioner, I contacted the senator, I contacted Congress, I contacted the White House, I contacted the president, I contacted the county assistance office, I contacted Social Security, I even tried to contact the FBI. I walked into the building to try to file a complaint, and they stated that the Federal Trade Commission will be the ones to forward my paperwork to them, and then they can do an investigation. This is part 25, I believe, of my story with identity theft. So now I'm sitting with the detective, and I'm finally making my complaint and writing my statement. And he basically stated that this is a federal case and Social Security should be the ones investigating this. But everyone has pointed me in the direction of the police and the detective. So who is the one conducting this investigation? Because when y'all thought it was me committing the fraud and someone else living in my household that wasn't, y'all was quick to put me under investigation. But yet when I asked y'all to put this person and this company under investigation, y'all want to hit me with, oh, people's working home from home and it's a lot harder and investigations are taking a lot longer. This is part 26 of my story with identity theft. Someone at the Federal Trade Commission basically told me that basically identity theft is a non-violent crime, so it is not a top priority. But in my opinion and going through it, it is a top priority because I'm a person that suffers from severe chronic illnesses, mentally, physically, as well, and other things along that matter. And during this process, my medical got terminated. I went without medication that I needed. My health got worse. I was intimidated, harassed, disrespected, threatened with her incarceration. This is part 27 of my story with identity theft. It affected my benefits as well as my child's benefits. I was gonna let it go when it only had something to do with me. But when it started affecting my child, that's when no fucks given was given. It was all or nothing now. So now, I finally caused another scene, and she finally has Miss S write me the letter that I needed, verifying that I do not work for this damn company. I'm thinking, now, this is finally done and over with. I don't gotta deal with this no more. Oh no, it's more. This is part 28 of my story with identity theft. So now we're in August of 2021, and I received another letter from Social Security stating that I have had income and that it could possibly affect my benefits as well as my daughter. So I get on the phone with them like, what income is y'all talking about? This is not my income. I keep telling y'all this. I'm going through identity theft. I have not worked since 2008. What aren't y'all understanding? I can not only not work at the daycare because of my criminal record, I'm also sickly. What is no one understanding? It's going above everyone's head. And I don't understand how. Oh my goodness, these people are so incompetent. This is part 29 of my story with identity theft. Now I get on the phone with the Social Security Administration. I have them look into the wages and things of that nature. Come to find out, there was an amount close to $12,000 earned for the year of 2021. With that combined income of the 44 amounting close to $17,000 under my name. And this is just mind-boggling. There's more. Way more. This is part 30 of my story with identity theft. Okay, now we're in August of 2021. I had to file a non-filer to do a tax amendment to collect the stimulus payments that I was not paid, as well as the child tax credit for my daughter. In that process, I received a notice that I had to verify my identity through ID Me. ID Me could not verify me due to me having to put freezes and locks on my credit due to this identity theft, because there were online bank accounts that were tried to be open. There were taxes filed under my social security number in 2011, 2013, 2019, and 2020. This is part 31 of my story with identity theft. Like I said, there was a tax return done in 2011, 2013, 2019, and 2020, which was not done by me. I have never filed an income tax in my life. Up until the time period where I had to file the non-filers. Other than that, I have never filed a regular income tax return in my life. So, I had to wait for weeks to schedule an appointment with the IRS Tax Preparation Assistance Program in order to sit down face to face with them to prove my identity and also follow up on the identity theft under employment. I believe we're on part 32 of my story with identity theft. So we're going to jump back to August. Now that I received that notice from Social Security, I go back up to this daycare again. But this time, when I go up there with the police. Because I learned from all the previous times that, I guess my word wasn't good enough and paperwork wasn't good enough itself either. because, you know, wasn't nobody listening to little old me or what I was saying. It didn't matter. Not nothing or nothing I was going through. Just fuck me. This is part 33 of my story time with identity theft. So now, we're up at the facility with the police. I'm explaining to them what's going on. And Miss M, another site director, which is the third site director since I have been going through this, stated, "Oh, I gotta call Diane. She's an attorney." Keep that in mind as well. She refused to get on the phone with the officer. She refused to come onto the premises. Instead, she had Miss M handle everything. And in the process of Miss M talking to the cops and being on the phone with Diane, she blurted out that she had an employee that works there presently at another location. So this is part 34 of my story with identity theft. So basically, Diane had Miss M blurt out that she had a Yamilet cologne working at her Children's Guard location 5, which I heard about this Yamilet cologne woman before, but I wasn't aware of the location that she worked at until that present moment. The cops later on left and stated that I could be trespassed off the property if they wanted to. Basically, me, Miss M, and my estranged husband continued the conversation after the cop left the premises. She basically gave me the runaround that Diane was giving everybody else that came in contact with me about this situation. This is part 35 of my identity theft story. So basically, she had Miss M state that she would send me an email with the verification that the wages were reversed from under my social security number, as well as the documentation verifying that that was not my income and that I no longer worked for her as of 2008. I told Miss M that at this point, this wouldn't be good enough because this is getting out of control now. And that's what she told me the last time, and I never received nothing. No email, nothing. I had to come back up here and keep coming back up here. And she know I have to turn in this documentation within a certain time period. This is part 36 of my identity theft story. So now we're going to fast forward to August the 31st. I haven't heard from anybody, haven't received any emails, nothing. So I goes back up to this daycare. Now, the first lady, Miss M, that I met when this first occurred, greeted me at the door. I told her what was going on and that this still going on. And I spoke to the other Miss M, and she really don't know what's going on. But Diane never emailed me the letter or anything like that. It's now August 31st, and I have to go sit with the IRS tomorrow, and still nothing. And, what is she going to do about this? This is part 37 of my identity theft. So Miss M, the first Miss M, gets on the phone with Diane while the other Miss M is outside speaking to me and my estranged husband. And basically, Miss M, the other Miss M, goes into the daycare facility and they both come back out. And that's when they explained to me that supposedly, allegedly, Diane called the IRS on the 30th and submitted the wage reversal and the right paperwork to undo what was done, and that it takes about a week to 10 days to be fixed. This was on the 31st of August. There's still more. This is part 38 of my identity theft story. So now I am infuriated. Like, I keep getting ping ponged around. People's playing with me now. Now I'm kind of seeing what is going on here. So now I want to see if there's really a Yamilet Cologne working at this other daycare, or is she just using my information, just using it? But oh, was everybody in for a surprise? So I go to Children's Garden 5, and I asked for Yamilet Cologne or the site director. First I was greeted by the site director, and then later on greeted with Yamilet Cologne herself. This is part 39, I believe, of my story with identity theft. So now I'm greeted with the site director, Miss J, and Yamilet Cologne. And basically she explains to me that she tried to file her taxes. They withheld her taxes as well because she had to prove her identity. She hasn't received her income tax refund. It was the wrong social on paperwork. I don't know how, because my information started getting used in October of 2019, and she was hired with them from August, I believe she said, of 2019. Make it make sense, please. This is part 40 of my identity theft. Now, by all means, no means am I saying Yamilet Cologne is guilty or involved in this matter in any which way. I believe that she is an innocent party in all this matter as well, because if she started working in 2019, how the hell was their tax returns filed in 2011? She wasn't working there, neither was I. So what was that about? And it was for Children's Garden 1 Inc. on that tax return, as well as the one for 2020 under wages, basically. So, Houseway, you better think of a better way to try to explain this situation. This is part 40 of my identity theft. Now, by all means, no means am I saying Yamilet Cologne is guilty or involved in this matter in any which way. I believe that she is an innocent party in all this matter as well, because if she started working in 2019, how the hell was their tax returns filed in 2011? She wasn't working there, neither was I. So what was that about? And it was for Children's Garden 1 Inc. on that tax return, as well as the one for 2020 under wages, basically. So, Houseway, you better think of a better way to try to explain this situation. This is part 41 of my identity theft story. My apologies. There was a tax return that was later reversed in 2011 because there was no W-2 form on file. 2013, I'm not too sure about what was that, because those are closed off apparently. But there was wages for the year of 2019 and 2020. She even threw Patty from HR under the bus, claiming that Patty was the one that made the clerical error. But it gets better. Oh, it gets better. Just wait. This is part 41 of my identity theft story. My apologies. There was a tax return that was later reversed in 2011 because there was no W-2 form on file. 2013, I'm not too sure about what was that, because those are closed off apparently. But there was wages for the year of 2019 and 2020. She even threw Patty from HR under the bus, claiming that Patty was the one that made the clerical error. But it gets better. Oh, it gets better. Just wait. It is part 42 of my story with identity theft. Now it's September 1st, and I finally sit down with someone in person at the tax preparation place for the IRS. I'm speaking with the representative and explaining what is going on and like why isn't nothing being done about this. Like, I keep getting harassed and put under investigation, and they're saying I'm working a job that I can not only work at because I'm sickly, I also have a criminal background. So how is it that I'm working this job and earning all this money? Then I also told the representative what Diane had stated about contacting the IRS and doing the wage reversal. And that's when the IRS representative informed me that Diane did no such thing. It is part 42 of my story with identity theft. Now it's September 1st, and I finally sit down with someone in person at the tax preparation place for the IRS. I'm speaking with the representative and explaining what is going on and like why isn't nothing being done about this. Like, I keep getting harassed and put under investigation, and they're saying I'm working a job that I can not only work at because I'm sickly, I also have a criminal background. So how is it that I'm working this job and earning all this money? Then I also told the representative what Diane had stated about contacting the IRS and doing the wage reversal. And that's when the IRS representative informed me that Diane did no such thing. This is part 43 of my identity theft. So now I'm with the IRS representative, and I fill out another identity theft affidavit. But the only difference is she stamped this one, and this one went up to where it was supposed to go. To the upper room, the upper floor, whatever you want to call it. As of, excuse me, as of November the 3rd, 2022. No. This is part 43 of my identity theft. So now I'm with the IRS representative, and I fill out another identity theft affidavit. But the only difference is she stamped this one, and this one went up to where it was supposed to go. To the upper room, the upper floor, whatever you want to call it. As of November the 3rd, 2021, the IRS has cleared me and found that it was done under identity theft. Everything still hasn't been fixed, though, but I feel as though I'm getting one step closer now. I've been going through it for so long. It seemed like they just forgot about me in my case. What is really mind-boggling is I don't even understand how this investigation even took this long to come this far, with all evidence proving that this was being done, down to documentation from the doctors, along with doctor appointment dates, along with other times, along with my home health aide being with me from a certain time. This is part 44 of my identity theft. I also tried to submit video evidence on the flash drive. They wouldn't take it. I also submitted documentation from the employer herself stating that I haven't worked for her. I also been submitting every appeal, waiver, notice that I had to provide and fill out. No one has helped me along this journey. Everyone kept brushing me off. Oh, identity theft is very hard to prove. How is it hard to prove when you know who it is, you know where she's at, you know who doing it, you just don't know who the hell is involved with the situation, where the money went, who received this money, what account it went to, how the hell was this money cashed, like, who passed the criminal background check, if any was on record. Like, mind-boggling. This is part 45 of my identity theft story. Basically, why wasn't an investigation open on regards to her and her facility once I've proven that I didn't work there? Why didn't the IRS flag my social security number when the income tax return was reversed? Why is it that no lawyer wants to help represent you when you're the victim of identity theft, but yet will defend a criminal being charged with the crime? It makes no sense at all. But not the victim, though, right? Not the one who's going through it and suffering the consequences of identity theft. That person, though, right? This is part 46 of my story with identity theft. I had people coming into my inbox telling me that they or their friend went through a similar situation with that same person, that she also has been sued in small claims court by a previous employee because she withheld her first week, 2 weeks check, her last check, and she could also not file for unemployment because she wasn't reporting her to the IRS as an employee. And come to do a little bit more digging, come to find out she's a bankruptcy attorney. So the whole time she could have undid and fixed all this. The whole damn time. Wow. Basically, like, how are we supposed to protect ourselves against identity theft if the person using our identity theft is a former and previous employer? There's no way in hell. We give these people our social security numbers to be able to have employment, but not in the long run, not knowing a situation like this would occur. I would like to petition the state and federal government to change the laws requiring our social security numbers. Instead, have a 4-digit PIN associated with our social security numbers that we can provide to our employer instead of giving them the actual social security number. So this can prevent any further identity theft by any employer. And always, blessings, love, and peace. Till next time.